Okay. All right, so let's talk about resolving objections. So when we talk about overcoming objections, what really happened?
Overcoming?
Yeah, when you overcome an objection.
You resolved it.
You didn't resolve it. The objection is still there.
Yeah, you've brought it up. You brought it to the surface, basically.
Right, right. So we've brought it up and we've gotten over it, right? Not necessarily resolved. So I hate that term, overcoming objections. We want to resolve objections. If we resolve an objection, the objection is not there anymore.
So you're saying overcoming is more like moving past it rather than fixing it?
Than actually addressing
Or addressing it, yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Resolving has to do with solutions.
Yes.
It implies a solution.
Yeah.
It requires a solution.
Yeah, an actual solution, not a workaround.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what we're going to talk about next, is we're going to talk about resolving objections. So the first thing that we need to identify is whatever the situation is it an objection or is it an observation? Okay, what do I mean by that?
Does it really matter to the client?
Pretty much, right?
If it really matters, it's an objection. If it's just something that they have identified as something that is an issue, most of the in many cases they're over it.
Right.
It's a little thing.
It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one we don't have to worry about. So if it's an objection, this is something that is going to stop the deal. An objection will stop the deal. We can't move past it. It has to be resolved or overcome, and if you overcome an objection, it just puts you in a position of weakness. You want to resolve that objection. Now, if it's an observation, if that one stops the deal, what does this do?
It doesn't stop the deal.
It doesn't stop the deal. Okay, how can we know the difference between the two?
More discovery.
More discovery. Okay, so what would you ask?
Open-ended questions. Is that a big problem? Is that a problem for you?
You got it exactly right. Is that a problem? Okay, not an open-ended question. It is a closed-ended question. When we come to an objection, the customer says, well, that payment's higher than what I'm paying right now. Is that an objection or is it an observation?
Objection.
It's an observation at that moment. You need to dig deeper.
It can be either. And this goes with every single objection that you have. It can be an objection or it can be an observation. So if I say, well, that payment's higher than what I'm paying right now, you know, most people would be inclined to say, okay, well, if I could get it lower than that, then would that make you happy? So you're treating it as an objection, even though it might not be an objection. It might just be an observation. So if you're trading in a Jetta and you're buying an Atlas, and the information comes out and they say, well, that payment's higher than on my Jetta.
Because it's the right car.
Right? You're treating it as an objection. Where if you say this, is that a problem? No, it's just more than I thought it would be. Not an objection, just an observation. If you say, well, is that a problem? And they say, yeah, that's a problem, because I can't afford anything more than what I have right now. So that is stopping the deal. Now you might ask the question, okay, well, maybe this isn't the right car. Maybe it's too much. If I could save you $20 a month, is that more comfortable for you? Right? Then you're going to ask questions that are going to move you or resolve that objection. If you say, is that a problem? And they say, no, it just caught me by surprise. Okay, great. Which payment did you want to go with? But if you treat it as an objection up front without asking the question,
You're still moving. Yeah.
Now what does the customer think? Oh, well, hey, I might be able to get it cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. I just have to keep saying no. When in reality, they didn't say no in the first place. Right? So the only way that you can find out for sure, is this an objection or is this an observation, is you have to ask the question, is that a problem? No. Okay, great. Which payment did you want to go with?
That's awesome, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Any questions about that? Okay. Now, if they say, yes, that is a problem, now we can ask an open-ended question. So what would your next question be?
Tell me more about that. Could you tell me more about that?
Tell me more. Right? Well, what do you mean? Right? You could say, tell me more.
Mhm.
Where's the breakdown? What's the biggest problem? Right? There's a lot of questions that you can ask here, but you obviously don't have enough information yet to start trying to resolve that objection. Right?
And you don't want to assume either.
You don't want to assume.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
tell me
you're-
more is it puts it in their court, it invites them rather than, even though it's a declarative sentence, it's more of an invitation to share more information.
Correct.
It's non-invasive.
So when they tell you more, and you guys keep talking, ultimately what happens is you end up speaking the same language. If you don't know what the biggest part of that objection is, and you just start going down some road willy-nilly, they're concerned about A, but you're focusing on B, we're not talking the same language. So if we're all talking in English right now, but if I started speaking Spanish all of a sudden, do you know Spanish?
Poquito.
Okay, do you know Spanish?
Hola.
You know Spanish. So now, oh, you don't? So I mean, we've totally
Hola.
killed, we can't communicate anymore because we're not speaking the same language. So if you say, well, tell me more, and they say, well, it's a budget issue. Or it's it doesn't have enough performance. It
Buying
doesn't
a
have
house
enough
or
this,
stuff
or it
like
doesn't
that.
have enough that, right? So whatever they tell you, you're not going to take whatever they tell you and start talking about something completely different, because now you're not speaking the same language again. But if you're speaking in the same language, now we're going to talk about budget, then we can actually come to a resolution as opposed to a overcoming. Okay? So tell me more. Well, it's this kind of a situation. Okay, great. So what I'm hearing you say is ... And you are going to reaffirm, in your own words, not in their words, in your own words, back to them what they just said. Okay, well, tell me more. Well, I can't afford that payment. It's too much. Okay, so what I'm hearing you say is, that's not going to fit in your budget. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Okay, great, now we're on the same page. What is in your budget? Okay, so you write down the word what. Really big.
What? Wait, I'm sorry. Oh.
What? So what I'm hearing you say is that won't fit in your budget. Correct. That's exactly right. Okay, what will fit in your budget? Then they're going to give you an answer.
Oh, man.
Ask her.
That's work.
So when you ask the question, what would fit in your budget, and they give you an answer, then you can say,
If by some miracle I could make that happen.
you'd probably buy it right now,
Probably
wouldn't
buy
you?
it right now, wouldn't you?
Because if you don't ask what, then what are you doing? If you try and give them a solution. If you don't ask them what it would take and have them give you an answer, then what are you doing? You're skipping this and you're trying to jump right to this.
You're not resolving, right?
You might resolve it.
By
But-
not asking the right questions. Yeah. You're assuming, you're guessing.
You're guessing.
Yeah.
Right, so to recap this piece, you've got an objection or an observation. Is that a problem? Yes, that's a problem. Okay, tell me more. That payment's way too high, I can't afford it. Okay, so what I'm hearing you say is that isn't going to fit in your budget. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. I say, okay, well, if I could save you $20, does that make more sense? I'm guessing. I'm guessing at what it would take. No, that's still too much. 40? No, still too much. 60? No, still too much. Where if you go here, what would fit in your budget, and they give you the answer, then you can give them a solution. Now, when you guess, you might get the answer, or you might come to a solution, or you might not.
That takes time, which adds to frustration on the customer's part.
Huge, huge, huge. I want you all to write that down. Say it again.
Time for the customer.
And it takes time, which frustrates customers. Guessing at solutions takes time and is frustrating for customers. Increases customer frustration. At which point it becomes adversarial.
No. Not necessarily true.
It has the potential.
Okay, does that make sense? So in order to make sure that we're speaking the same language, we've got an objection or an observation. And we ask the customer, is that a problem? Yes, it is. Okay, tell me more. I can't afford that payment, it's too high. Okay, so what you're saying is that payment's not going to fit your budget. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Okay, great. What will fit your budget? $400. Okay, so the payment's $550 right now, so this might not be the right car. If we can get you into more like the $525 range, is that something that we could talk about? No, it's still too high. Okay, what if we got you under $500? okay, we might have something to talk about. But if they say, no, all I can afford is $525 and you're at $550, and you say, well, what if I can keep you under $500? That's what guessing does.
Chopping yourself off.
Is you're negotiating with yourself.
Like with that Jetta lady, she was paying $378. She wanted to be right around that, but pencil came back was 600, some close to 600 basically, right? Now she saw that number. Okay, if I go for this car, this what the numbers look like, right? So now we're going back and forth. We're negotiating, not negotiating, basically trying to figure out exactly what she wants. Now she saw the number. She was thinking somewhere around 378. Before I go, what do you think? I can do 500. So that's a big jump from 378 to 500. Okay, before I go, give or take.
Right.
Yeah, okay, we'll see. We close at what? 552.
550. So you're going through your mind is 375. She's already given you that number. We give her 550, or actually we give her 590. I think.
Give us 590.
Okay, and but you still have 375 in your head. So if instead of saying, okay, well, what can you do? You said, well, if I can get you to 425, that's a $50 bump, which is still significant. You wouldn't have had a deal, by the way.
Right.
But because you asked, what would it take, and she gave you an answer.
Right.
Right? We hit her at almost 6. She hit us at 5, which was up from 375. We met her halfway.
A week and a half.
And now you have a deal.
Not yet.
Well, no, we have a deal. Now it's just a matter of making it stick. Okay, so any more questions about this? You guys all have this written down. Okay, good. And I'm gonna post the video so that you guys can come back and watch it again and again and again and again and again, so that you guys can master these principles. Okay, that's it.
All right.
Well done, Aaron.